I remember really turning the heat on when I started to think about, wow, I could be done with this degree now.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The J Word. I'm Jasawn Pryce and I'm honored to have my dear friend, the multifaceted Dominique Thorne here with me today. This girl works so hard on her craft with so much intention in all that she does to fully bring her characters to life. Some of you guys may recognize her from If Beale Street Could Talk, her Broadway debut in Jaja's African Hair Braiding, Judas and the Black Messiah, and as Riri Williams from the Black Panther, Wakanda Forever 2. Miss Thorne isn't just gracing the big screen, but she's leading her own series as Ironheart. Today we're going to get into it all, the journey, and so much more. Dominique, I am truly honored to have you, and welcome to the show!
Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's an honor to be here. Yes, man. Live and direct.
That part. Oh my gosh. So with every episode, I like to start off with affirmation. So today's affirmation is, I am worthy of what I desire. So when I was thinking about affirmations, that one really stood out to me because I feel like oftentimes we don't feel worthy of just our dreams and just that it's possible. So I think through your journey and just watching you, it shows me, and I think so many other people, that you were worthy of having your dream realized and come true. So,
Amen.
yeah.
I am worthy of what I desire. Yes. Ooh, I love that. Ooh, it's going to be a good episode.
Yes. I want to start off today by getting to the root of things, the journey. I feel like we're in a time, especially now with social media and stuff, where we look at people and their life and we just think that life for them happened overnight. And because of that, I think it's so important to talk about the very beginning. But before we do that, I want to just talk a little bit about how we even know each other, how we met, and a little bit of that journey.
Right.
Do you remember exactly?
Oh my gosh. We were at this school. I won't say the name.
Right.
But we were at this school. I got there so randomly. It's my zone school at the time. We're both from Brooklyn, both Caribbean American, boop boop. And the school that I was attending in Brooklyn Heights had mysteriously caught fire in the middle of the year. And there were a lot of theories, a lot of conspiracy theories about how and why that happened. But that definitely set off a panic amongst all of these families. The school went up to 8th grade, and now all of a sudden, all of us are like, what do we do? I think at the time I was in 3rd or 4th grade. And so now it's the middle of the year, and we had to hurry up and find a school. And so I ended up going to my zone school, which is where we met. Yeah. And that was what, fifth grade?
Yeah,
fifth grade.
Fifth grade, yeah.
Fifth grade. Yeah, man. Yeah, that was a time. But what I do remember, I definitely remember, I think I remember you from an art class or something.
Yeah.
Right? But what I do remember is us kind of being we weren't super close, but I definitely remember us being I see you.
Right, we see you, we're experiencing
I see you through the foolishness.
Yes,
we peep game.
Oh man, that was an experience.
It was terrible, but
it really was.
Hit fast forward, right? We both moved up on out of there, and oh gosh, fast forward now, what 4 years going into high school, and yeah, about 4 years. I was in 9th grade at the Professional Performing Arts School in the theater district, and I was a drama major there, happy as can be. And so after being accepted, I decided to work the auditions for the following year for people who are auditioning to be in the school for the next year. And I remember Miss Apprenti had given me a bunch of assignments, and I'm walking down the hall. I had to take students places, drop them off, take students places, drop them off. So I remember, I think I was going back to get another round of students, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I just hear this voice say, Dominique.
That's crazy.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh,
I
right.
didn't even remember that.
Really? Oh my gosh.
No,
Yes.
that's crazy.
Yes, I remember walking down the street and you were in the hallway. I think you were waiting to go in.
Yeah,
And so you called my name and I'm like,
That-
Jasawn?
What? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's how we were reunited.
Yeah, for real. And I remember, because what I remember is before that year, the ninth, because I auditioned to go in for ninth grade, but it didn't work out. And I remember seeing you during that freshman year in my local train station, which
Oh
like you
my
don't,
God.
like that's not your station. So
What are
it
you
was just,
thinking?
yeah. And it's been, and I think from that moment, I think prior to that, the last time we had saw each other maybe was middle school before you had transferred out and found a better school.
Wow, and I don't remember that. That's crazy.
Wow.
Look at us filling in the
Yeah,
blanks.
yeah, wow.
Oh,
Yeah, and then
man.
we were talking like about it a little bit, and wow, that's crazy. Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, filling in the gaps. That's why we
Okay.
need each other.
Yes, no, for real. I
Wow.
think it's so crazy how our paths like they disconnected for a little bit, but then like reconnected when it needed to the
Yes.
most. When we were like aligned on that path of like even auditioning. Amongst like it was like I know for I mean I did the drama and vocal, and it was like 3,000 to like 4,000 kids.
Yeah.
So for us to both be accepted and like make it through. And then be in that space together is like
Yeah.
incredible. And then, oh, wow, that
Yeah.
is, wow, okay.
Yeah, that really was, I think, I don't know, like you said, it was kind of perfect timing because I think after that, we definitely, if we weren't close in middle school, we were definitely close by high school.
Yeah.
Like, and that was such a beautiful time. It really, really was. It really was. I think also because we knew it probably like subconsciously in middle school, but by the time we got to high school, it was very clear like, oh, we have the same goals, you
Right,
know?
right,
We
which
have the
is
same kind of
crazy.
ambition.
Yeah, without even realizing.
Yeah.
During middle school or before officially going to the performing arts school, was there a moment where you're like, you know what, this is the lane that I want to be in. I want to act and I'm going to do this seriously.
You know, I like stand by the fact that this kind of just I don't know, like it was 8th grade and it was like like I had flipped a switch. I just decided that I only wanted to go to performing arts schools, and I still say that I don't fully know why or where that like impulse came from. But if I am looking back, and now that we've sort of, you know, walked back through memory lane, I do remember like the plays and stuff that they would put on at this middle school. And I remember one year, it was I don't know if it was Bring It On, but it was some sort of cheerleader. Was it Bring It On?
It was.
I took that so seriously. Like, look, it was two teams, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it was 2 teams of cheerleaders, and I just remember being so invested. But I was also like, I can't seem to invest it. I'm new. I don't know how. I don't know how y'all get down, and it was like super. I don't know. I remember having fun. I remember feeling lots of pressure about this thing, but that was really it. Like, I think other than that middle school performance, there's like 1 or 2 performances I remember at that Catholic school that had burned down. And then I remember I went to a Greek school after the middle school and before high school. And I remember like doing a few plays there, like where I was the Greek to English translator for most of the years, and then finally I worked up to having like a true Greek speaking role. You know, and that was like, oh my God, I did it. But that is it. I have like these very strange collection of like theater experiences
Gotcha.
leading
No,
up to
but it was
PBA,
like
yes.
it was those little moments that created like that bigger feeling of like I like this. This is cool. I'm enjoying this. How do I do it in a realer way, and what does that look like?
Probably. I also think I was super into television, very into like television and music. and especially music. And I remember there was like one show in particular that like really caught me, like just grabbed me, got my full attention when I was in middle school. And I probably should not have been watching the show at that age, but
What show was it?
Degrassi,
Oh my God.
okay?
I think everybody was watching
Right.
Degrassi.
I
Yeah.
remember I used to tell
But
my
that's why it was
parents.
good. Sorry. Sorry if Degrassi is still on.
I actually don't
But
know if
Drake
it's
was a part
on.
of that era,
He
and
sure
like it was
was.
really intense. It was
He sure
good.
was. It was incredible. I vividly remember telling my parents like whenever it was on and I'd be watching it, like, okay, like please do not disturb me. I'm watching my stories. I need to focus. And I really do think that show in particular, and there are others for sure. My mom adds Hannah Montana as one of them, which, we love Miley, so yes. But, Disney Channel was really going off at the time. Like, Raven Simone, obviously. Like, there were just so many great shows, but I definitely remember Degrassi in particular being something that, like, oh my gosh, like, they're telling stories. Like, this is somebody's life. It's not my life.
Right, right. But
But
it
this is
was real.
somebody's life, and I remember learning so much from watching it, like just about people and relationships and how to, and I don't know, just about like the depth and the range of human emotion, far beyond what I had experienced at that time as a little seventh, eighth grader,
Right. They touched on a lot. They really
They
did.
really, really did. Like they covered the gamut of like life and its experiences. And it was set in high school, and this was what I was going into. I would soon be in high school. So yeah, I don't know. I definitely remember that show in particular, something about it just really like speaking to me and me like wanting to be a part of it in some way. And I think that definitely also has to do with why I auditioned for PPAS.
Oh man, I
Yeah.
love that. So fast forward, so now you're at PPS, you're literally soaking up all of the opportunities that you can. And some people especially in high school, some people don't take it serious, but I feel for you, even in high school, you took it so serious. Like you really wanted to do this. And I remember you just being so proactive and just putting all of your time and all of your energy into perfecting your craft in the realest way. Like, even after school, you would be going to different programs and different things and always just learning and just, building on your skill, building on your skill. What do you think that was?
Oh man, you mean in terms of like the drive or like
Yeah.
I I don't know. I think, or I shouldn't say I don't know. What I think it was at the time was a similar thing that was sparked up from Degrassi, right? So like now we didn't do Shakespeare until a little bit later, but now we're reading all of these plays, and whether they were contemporary or not, I still think it was that how do you tap into this experience? How are these people, or rather being amazed with how these people were putting into words and acts all of these emotions that now I am experiencing, because I'm a little bit older now. And I also remember I had a terrible attitude. We grew through that, didn't we, friend? As we all do, though. I think we all come into ourselves in different ways, and I think a lot of mine was like frustration. I had a lot of frustration about these life circumstances that I had no control over, that I didn't fully understand, and I remember it was super sobering to like walk in with all of this emotion and all of this ah, and read through this scene and through this other person, this other character feeling like absolved of whatever it was that was stressing my little self out. And I really think I definitely got like I don't know, I got hooked on that. Like I was really impressed, I think, with just what that did. It also felt very healthy. It felt
Right,
like
right.
it felt
It was.
so right. I think
Yeah.
it felt far healthier than anything else that I was seeing at the time in terms of just in terms of what we could give our attention to, you know? So I think it was also a lot of unknown. Like, I know I don't fully understand this thing, but like, you've definitely piqued my interest. You definitely have my respect. Then fast forward to when we did start doing Shakespeare, and then I became like enamored with language and the use of punctuation and just all these details, you know, to continue doing the same thing, which is to give voice to what you're feeling. And I think maybe about halfway through it became, and that's also shout out to like PPAS and the attention that they
Like the
sort of.
different classes of voice and movement and
Yes,
different things like
exactly.
that.
All
Yeah.
these different ways that they had allowed us the opportunity to like tap into these different parts of ourselves through these different parts of the craft, and also their emphasis for the drama program on the artist as citizen. I think that combination of things, it just helped me connect more to myself, sort of ground through, like, take ownership of my experience. And also, hopefully, at a certain point, I think I started to realize, oh, I feel like I've been affected, and maybe I'm not, I don't feel that need to, like, be, like, cleansed in a way. But now, um, I know that there's an opportunity for other people to have the same experience, you know? Me doing this monologue, me doing this play, like, there's somebody in the audience who could potentially also walk away with the same feeling, a similar feeling of being seen or absolved of something, or even to learn something new, or to simply take a break from life. Like, I was just in love with everything that I believe theater can do, and that was really my introduction to all of that.
Yeah, and I think for you, I think it definitely was that stepping stone to really, because I feel like when you're really practicing and you're in whatever you're doing, those are the moments that show you, all right, I'm not really feeling this. I don't know if this is my path, or like I'm feeling this and this is it. So I think all of those collective experiences allowed you to say, this is it. And I'm going to do this in the best way. And, you know, going back to what you were talking about earlier as far as the attitude, I don't even think it was that. I think it was just the combination of the things that you expressed earlier, circumstances, but also feeling like misunderstood a little bit. And it's like, all right, like what do I do, and how do I like channel this? But I believe clearly you've channeled it in the best way and in the most impactful way and in a way that's relatable, and people can look at you and say, all right, she reminds me of my sister, my auntie, you know, well, not auntie just yet, but
Not yet,
my cousin, and all those different things. So I think it's important to, I don't know, just those real emotions and those real experiences exist, and that they come out and that they're not frowned upon, because
Yeah.
that's a real thing and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Amen. Thank you,
Yeah.
friend.
So fast forward, graduating. Well, no. Fast forward. So this is senior year. You are now getting your acceptance letter to Cornell. What was that moment like for you, and how did it, if it did at all, shift your dreams?
It definitely shifted my dreams for sure. I didn't know nothing about college or the process. Oh my goodness. And honestly, truly, I think I applied to like 13 schools, and every school I applied to was like someone else's recommendation. I literally knew nothing. I was like, okay, so where should I go? Okay, great. You know, like talking to, you know, the college counselors, obviously, talking to my mom's bosses. Like, I was gathering information from any and everyone who was older than me and seemingly well to do, you know, like getting their input. And so ultimately, I had collected this list of 13 schools that I really didn't, I don't know, like I'd say 11 of them I had no real interest in, but there were two schools on there that I did care about, which was Cornell University and Rutgers Mason Gross, their conservatory for theater. Um, and yeah, what interested me about Cornell was this policy analysis and management course major that they had. Like we said earlier, Caribbean American. So my parents are from Trinidad, as I feel like everybody should know by now.
Yeah.
Oh my
Right,
gosh.
yes.
But I had so many questions about this immigration thing. I feel like when I got to PPAS, it was a lot about figuring out the inside thing. Like, oh my gosh, I'm like you said, I feel so conflicted. I have all these thoughts and emotions about life and da 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 whatever. And through that program, I was really able to channel everything in a good way and sort of make sense of what I was feeling and what I thought and take ownership of my thoughts and feelings and emotions for real. Um, and so at this point, it's like, okay, now that that's sort of settled down, the thing that's left, the confusion that still remains is this whole immigration thing, okay? Like, why is life so hard for those who immigrate here? What is that about? You know?
It's
And
disrespectful because it's like they
especially,
pick and choose who we want to. But
look,
that is another
right. That is indeed another
conversation. Yes,
conversation.
yeah.
But especially being in New York, like, this is a city of immigrants.
Exactly. Yeah.
Point blank period. And so I felt it necessary to go and get some answers, or to at least attempt to make sense of it, attempt to understand it in a real way, in an in-depth way. And I was really willing to give it the same amount of time that I had given to acting. But I didn't really think anything beyond that. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna give up acting and do this. It wasn't like I'm gonna put it on pause. Like, I really was just like, these are two things that I want to understand. I gave 4 years to this. I feel like I'll be okay giving 4 years to this. With Rutgers Mason Gross, on the other hand, um, it was all about theater. It was like, oh my God, like, this is how I could really take this shit to the next level, you know?
Right.
Like, oh
Yeah,
my
stand in
gosh.
it.
That was the only school that I visited. Is that correct? Is that a lie? Yeah, I want to say that's the only school that I visited, because they require you to, like, as a part of the audition process, you have to stay there for a few days. So did all of that, and I fell in love. It was like PPAS on steroids. Like, everything that I was learning times 10. Like, oh my gosh, I felt so enlivened by this opportunity, you know? So yeah, those were like the two options in my head. And so I applied to all these schools, including those two, for very specific reasons. And I was like, all right, whichever one I get into, that's where I'm gonna go. Like, that's it. I can't make the decision. God's gonna make it for me. And
If God
sure
don't
enough,
do it, it won't get done.
if God don't do it,
Yeah.
it
Oh
won't
man.
get done. So yeah, I kind of really did leave it up to him. I was like, all right, let me know. And sure enough, I got into both of them. I got rejected from all 11 schools that I did not care about, and accepted to the only two that I really did care about, which I think is also a testament to, like, put your eggs in the right basket, you know, in the honest basket, you know. But yeah, then it was like, okay, you got to make a choice. And I was so, to this day, okay, to this day, I still think about, oh, what would life have been like if I went to Rutgers, you know? Like, of course. And I still do think about conservatory and really, you know, taking that next step in learning the craft, understanding the craft, and developing your own personal craft. But at that point, I kind of leaned back into what I had said surrounding my thoughts about Cornell, which is like, I had given 4 years to this, like, let me give 4 years to this other side of me. Like, it really did feel like an attempt or a walk toward balancing
I was just gonna
myself
say,
in that
yeah.
way, you know?
And that was exactly what you did. And I was gonna ask, like, how was that? I remember, during that time, like, seeing you through it as far as, like, you studying really hard, but then like coming to the city and auditioning and, still focusing really hard on your academics, but then focusing on your craft as well and not giving that up, or, because that's really hard to balance, especially Cornell grades on like a whole nother
Oh my
like system.
God.
Like it's next level. So for you, it was really intense. So
Like, for what reason?
yeah, it
I'm
was a
sorry.
lot. So through that intensity, what was that like for you, um, balancing that?
Man, it was hard. It was hard work, but I was gonna graduate. Like, that
Yeah,
was not an option.
yeah,
But just like how I didn't know anything about college, but I knew I was going.
right,
Like,
right.
that was the only option. So it was hard, but it was what I wanted to do. And I do remember, like, I had friends who, like, whether it's like speech and debate or whatever, mock trial, whatever that was. I'm so sorry. I hope that's not disrespectful. But whatever
No.
that was the child was doing, going to, compete with the other students in the Ivy League. I remember I had some friends who used to do such things, and they'd come back and really talk about how the Harvard kids are making fun of us for how unnecessarily difficult our work is, and like just
Yikes.
the grading system and all these things. And that too is a whole separate
Yeah,
conversation.
jeez.
However, it was hard, and especially I think, again, this whole first gen thing is real.
Yeah,
It's real,
yeah.
and I had no sort of guidance, like no nothing, and I remember freshman year being alongside students who came in. They knew exactly, which professors they were going to research with. Like, they knew exactly which labs they wanted to be a part of, and so they came in with a hit list. And sure enough, like, it's just set them on a different path. I think to
Yeah.
have a different-ish experience during their
Right,
time
more of like
there.
intention and structure as far as we know what this looks like because of maybe the generations of people that have continuously went to this school and it's just like, oh, you're going here type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
legacy students, or even if they weren't legacy, their parents had simply gone
Yeah.
to college. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Not simply. They had also,
Yeah.
had the opportunity to do that. So yeah, it was tough, but I figured it out as we do. And it was really a testament, I think, to the community at Cornell, because it was other Black Caribbean women that sought me out to give me that assistance, that were like, oh, hey, I noticed that you're new. You should come to this, or you should come to this. And slowly but surely building a community. And I think it's also, just side note, why it's important to sort of put yourself out there in situations like that, like when you are walking into the unknown, because I had only met those women because I showed up to like the first gen student meeting, or like the Caribbean Student Association, whatever, and it really was through those women that I found a community that would truly support me, people who, oh, I took that class, let me send you a study guide, like things like that.
It's so
So,
hopeful. Yeah. Oh
what?
man.
Shout
Jeez.
out to them, for real. And then, of course, you in turn do the same thing for folks coming in behind you. But that really was what sort of gave me a solid foundation. Shout out to the women of
Love
Worry.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Oh man, having foundation and community is so important, but especially now, I feel like we're in a space where people, I don't know, we're just in a space where I feel like people feel like they have to like go through things alone or just not seek out their community. And I think also society is like telling people, you have all these people like, oh, grind, like just, I don't know, put your head in the, I mean, God, there's so, there's so many
Yeah.
things that are out there as far as people, advising people to isolate themselves and come back when you're better and all of these different things, which I understand to a certain extent, but I also believe that there's community in where you are at every level. Whether you're struggling in something, whether you're in a new space, there's always community, and I think more and more we need to like lean on each other.
Yeah, I think there's also a strong presence of people. I think it's also like a growing presence of people who are like tired of that, and are very much like, No, we're not doing that anymore. We're not progressing through struggle and struggle alone, you know? And I feel like I was very fortunate to find like-minded people. And now I think that's kind of my goal is like to stay of that mind myself and to continue to now in a new way, like we were kind of talking about before we started, like putting myself into spaces and situations where I feel empowered and where I feel like this is where my this is what I want to do. This is what I think will help me feel good. This is what I like, whether it's going to that Pilates class or the art session or whatever it is,
Right.
and really allowing yourself to rebuild a community, based on
Where you are and like what you want for yourself in that moment.
and also
Yeah.
where you want to go.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I may not be great at this Pilates move, but y'all are.
Right.
Hi,
Let's
friends.
learn together.
For
Exactly.
real,
And that's what it's about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I want to go back for a second to you coming to New York and auditioning and doing your thing and just reflecting on the moment of you auditioning for the first Black Panther and just that moment of you auditioning and getting so close, but not making it totally through. But I remember that moment, and even in that moment, you were still so calm. Like you weren't angry. Like why is that wrong? Like
Yeah.
you were so calm, and you just like I don't know. You took it with so much grace, and it makes me want to ask you about the waiting season and what that was like for you. Um, did you feel like were you so calm because you felt like all right, this is just a part of the journey, like I'm almost there, this shows that I'm almost there, I just have to try a little harder, like what was that season like for you?
Um, honestly, I think it was. I wish I had that. I wish I could say like, yeah, I knew that I was so close. That was not it at all. But honestly, I think it's just like, what else can you do? I think I knew enough at that time, like through all the steps of life that we kind of just walked through so far. Like that was enough for me to know that stressing about it and beating myself up about it and like I don't know, otherwise catching some sort of fit about it was just not going to get me where I wanted to go either. And I also had no idea where I was going to go. I didn't know what the goal was. Um, I, like we said, the work at Cornell was hard, and I still sort of like went in there like a firecracker straight to the drama department freshman year and did a play, and then I was in another theater project. Like I was just out in the theater scene, and I got to a point where I was like, hold on, I need to go focus on my major.
Study.
Right.
Read your
I need to get
book.
this degree. Exactly. I'm gonna read these books. And yeah, and I knew that I wanted to continue acting, and I did believe that I would. Like I knew that acting would be a part of my life, kind of. Like I just felt it somewhere in my body, like I'm gonna come back to this. I just don't know how, but I know right now I need to get this degree. And so when the audition came up, I was like, oh, take me out the hood, Jasawn.
Yes. New
What?
beginning.
Like, rescue
Yes,
me?
yeah.
Like, I thought that was my way
Yeah.
out. What? Oh my goodness. I really do. And I remember, like, the audition, the existence of the audition itself was like a beautiful thing, and like of course came with its own pressures, but I remember really turning the heat on when I started to think about, wow, I could be done with this degree now.
Continue tomorrow.
What? Like this was my excuse,
Yeah.
like this was the way. Kind of like, oh, what's my mom gonna say now?
Right.
She can't tell me
Right.
that.
This is the moment.
What you mean?
Right.
Like you gonna tell me not to? Miss Captain America T-shirt? Like you're not gonna do that. So I do think that's also why I had gotten to a point in the audition process when I knew I wasn't gonna get it, and not because I didn't think I don't know, because I didn't think I was talented enough, or I didn't think I was whatever enough, but I felt like, oh, this is not my time. And on top of this, I think I also wasn't like, this wasn't the best season of my life, like personally, like I didn't like the relationship that I had at the time with my family. And I think it was, it not think, but I know it was primarily because of the stress of college. Like, that had really taken a toll on my relationships with my parents, and that was not a thing that I knew I wanted to maintain going forward. But it also wasn't something, I just felt like I was spread too thin in terms of having, I don't know, in terms of like having the best relationship here and also having the best grades and also being able to audition and
Yeah,
also like
the
I had to
perfection.
pick
Yeah,
two,
yeah.
okay? And it was making it through college and this craft,
Yeah.
as best I could, like
Right, right.
auditioning in between, like making videotapes in between classes and
I know.
pulling any
I
unlucky
know.
student that stayed back in that class too long, like,
I know.
hey,
Can you
hi,
help? Can you? Right.
hey,
Oh
you
man, I'm
know?
sure they're happy they help now.
Look, shout out to all of y'all.
Yes.
But honestly, truly, to be completely clear, and I think maybe I've only spoken about this once or twice, but if so much. But I remember it was like the last phase of auditions. So I had like, oh gosh, I hope I remember this order. Oh my goodness. But I want to say I went to Atlanta, then LA, or LA, then Atlanta, something like that. But I remember I was in LA and I was in the elevator, I think going back like to my room or leaving. I'm in LA, I'm in the elevator, the hotel elevator after the audition, and I heard this voice say quite clearly and quite simply, like, you will never accomplish the things that you want to if you don't fix your family life. And like that was kind of it. And in that moment, like by the time the elevator doors opened, I knew I wasn't gonna get this, and I had just accepted it. And I think after that, there was like another round, and I went to Atlanta, and I was like on the big studio lots, and they got the costumes, and the intensity only continued to grow. But I had kind of accepted that, like, oh yeah, like it's clipped, and I I don't know, I kind of appreciated it because I think my family is so important to me, and literally the reason that I'm at this school is because of y'all. You guys decided to come to this country. You guys poured all of this time and energy and effort into making sure I had these opportunities. Like, what do I look like having a fraught relationship? What? So I really went back to, and it was also like, girl, if you get a job, like, let it be because it's the right job, because you're excited about the project, not because you're trying to have
Yeah.
an excuse to not graduate.
Right.
So I went back to school, and I quite happily,
Yeah. Did your thing. Yeah.
yeah, like really did do my thing, fix those
I
relationships,
love that.
got switched my major, and like pursued a path that just aligned more, made more
I love that.
sense, like, yeah. And the
Man.
projects came.
Yeah, and I feel with that, Jesus, it's like, yeah, it's
Right.
like, I feel like sometimes in life, it could be your time as far as like, you're supposed to do this, but not your timing, which I feel is like what you went through as far as like, I'm definitely supposed to be here, but just the timing, things have to come together in other ways. Um, Even after hearing that voice, because I'm sure that wasn't like easy for you to like just
Right.
take, yeah, this isn't happening. So
Bye
how were you,
bye.
right? So how were you able to, um, I guess, accept the rejection, especially with society's pressure and just like your current circumstances and just where you are mentally? Like, how were you like where were you at and how were you able to like navigate through that?
Was I? Oh man. Honestly, it was kind of building on what we were talking about. So like really like an accepting of what my circumstances were. Like really just truly just calming it all the way down. Like really embracing, like, okay, Dominique, this is where you are, Like because at that time too, like I'm excited, and I think what kind of tipped the scale in their favor also was that it was an Ivy League school, right? And it's like, how can I be a first generation student, first generation college student, and not take this acceptance into an Ivy League institution? And again, like I told y'all, I know nothing about college, so I didn't even really fully know what that meant. Little did I know it was a sports association. But anyway, yeah, so I felt very aware of like what an opportunity, could exist in me going to this school. Like, not only will I get to go to college and like fulfill that wish for my parents and for myself, but I will get to do it at this level. Yet and still there was all this guilt is not quite the right word. I don't know what the word is. Not
As far
regrets,
as
but like, yeah,
what,
I don't.
like,
Maybe it's the closest word to it is probably regrets, but that's not what it is either. I was just there was definitely like a large portion of myself that was still sort of caught in the what if about Rutgers. Like I said, to this day, I still think about
what that would have looked like.
or even just like secondary education, like beyond high school in the craft, like because I really do believe, and this is a testament again to those PPAS teachers, like they were, I had one teacher in particular who said, if you want to be a doctor, you go to med school, like if you want to do these things, like people expect you to take the path to study, to really get a full understanding of what it is that you're committing to be qualified to do this thing. But there's like, this sweeping belief that to be an actor, you just sort of show up and, here it is. And that's very true for many people, very many talented people. Make no mistake, But I think I was definitely sort of feeling a little self-conscious and guilty about not continuing my education for this thing that I had so much respect for, you know? So by the time I'm faced with this huge opportunity, and it really was a beautiful experience. Like I remember having some really beautiful conversations with folks like in that team and in that world while I was in these spaces, about life and about the craft and about what my career could and would look like.
And is this while you're like
Yeah,
auditioning,
like
like
while I'm
while
auditioning.
studying and
Yeah,
gotcha,
yeah. So
yeah.
while I had left to go on the audition, like talking to people on the set, like people who were like in various levels, like in the production, like just having really great conversations about what it means to invest in yourself is really what it was overwhelmingly. And so it's not like I had had this audition experience and felt robbed or felt like I didn't do my best or felt like I actually walked away from that experience enriched in many ways, I had gotten to meet Ryan Coogler, who at that point, I had seen senior year of high school, we watched Fruitvale Station in Dr. Languish's class. Right?
Yeah,
You remember
yes,
that? Oh my
yes,
gosh. And that
man.
really opened my eyes because up to that point, I had only cared about theater. I didn't know anything about film, but seeing that movie was really like, oh, like they're doing something behind these cameras. um, and so now here I was like getting to meet this man who had really opened my eyes in such an incredible way. So I really walked away from there fulfilled in many ways. Like it was a great experience. And I think being forced to kind of sit down and accept the fact that, okay, no, you will not be doing this thing. You will not have this opportunity. You will not get to whatever. Like, it really forced me to sort of settle that guilt and that, what word did I use? Self-consciousness. I think that's what I said about like a BFA. And really sort of sit with it. And the only thing that made sense to me was to accept it and move fully into the next step, because now that's a lot. That's a lot of feeling, that's a lot of emotion. And so to me, that means I have all of this energy to take with me into what is in front of me. And what is in front of me is this world-class education, this incredible university with ridiculous resources, and all of these people who were, some people there were creating their own major. Some people there were, and it was really like far out things. Like they're studying one specific constellation that they're not even sure is out there, but they believe. And
That is there.
and watch out for the Nobel, like it was really incredible students at this campus. And so and I wanted to be here. So it was just like, okay, that thought I had in the back of my head that maybe I won't have to finish and maybe I could just, leave early for a job. Like, that's not happening, So let's just do what we got to do here. And it really did work out in the best way, I think.
Yeah, and I feel like even within that, you were able to still do a lot of things because during Cornell, is that when I know you started to like build with your credits a little bit and just, I don't know, jump into more projects on the campus, but then on screen as well, because that's when you started, if Beasley Street could talk, correct?
Beale Street.
Street.
Yeah, I did that
Yeah.
in 2018, so my junior year. And then right after graduation is when I did my first, like, okay, I have lines, like leveled up. So yeah, and I really do credit that no as the turning point for me, because then it silenced so much, because I went to this school with so much energy, so many questions, so many uncertainties, and it's like, okay, silence.
Yeah.
Focus, like it's fine, it's okay, where you are is fine, like you're actually okay, you're actually really good, you're actually more than safe. This is a great place to be. And I think that helped me not only enjoy my time there more, but to just, I think, be more intentional about, like I said, I came back and I changed my major. Like, I was like, okay, yeah, so if I'm going to be here, I need to enjoy what I'm doing. Like, and yeah, I think that helped me just clarify what my next steps would be. And also even in terms of doing these audition tapes, because I was, I was pumping out these tapes like 4 or 5 tapes a week, like, at the most, there are definitely times where I didn't tape at all because, you have exams or
Finals
whatever,
and- yeah,
exactly. Or 55-page papers, but
Jesus, public policies.
look, but yeah, I think also what I got from this was like a real clarity about the tapes too. Like, I got to a point where I was looking at these auditions, and number one, I think people also always, like, I'd heard people say auditioning is a skill, and I didn't understand that at all. And now I sure do, And Cornell definitely gave me that, because I was pumping these out. It was really like I was just working a muscle. And it got to a point where I really wasn't nervous per se about going into auditions. And I think there was a point in time where that energy about, oh my God, like, am I gonna get this opportunity? Like, if y'all just give me this opportunity, like, I swear to God, like, I will not abuse it. Like, and it can be debilitating almost, the hope, the strength of it, and I think it kind of calmed me down also. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
you'll
this
get
is gonna
something,
happen. Right, right.
And then I started to just look at things differently. Like, I'll get a project and I'll be like, oh yeah, no.
So it was that moment or those collective moments that kind of like created that intention for you to even navigate what you're accepting and what you're gonna like pass on type thing.
For sure, but not even about what I'm accepting, but more so about what I would get accepted for. Like, because
Yeah.
I wasn't turning out shit at that level, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was doing everything. Every tape came in, I was doing it, There was very few that I wouldn't. Like, there would be some, but in large part, I was doing almost every request that I got. And it's also a testament to the team, because they only sent things that they knew aligned.
That's so good.
Amen.
Yeah.
But I love those girls. But yeah, man, I I accepted every audition as an opportunity to work that muscle now and sort of get over that fear of like putting my entire life on the line, you know? Because that really is what it is. It still is. That helps me have fun with auditions, you know? And then be able to see a project that did excite me. Like maybe like 1 in 15 or 1 in 20 would come through and I'd be like, oh, and that's what it was with Beale Street. Like I was doing these tapes for at that point 3 years, and obviously Black Panther was one of them. But in that time, the next thing to really excite me was that audition for Beale Street. Like there were some in between that I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I would love to do this. I would love to do them all.
Right. Please come through.
However,
Yes.
like, but this one in particular was like, oh,
The story, yeah.
I need to do this. And that was the first time that I really felt that clarity about, and it wasn't a hope, it wasn't a I wish, it wasn't a please, it was I'm doing this, you know, like I need to. And I got the book, I read the book, came to the city. It's in New York, like stop playing with me.
Yeah. Oh man.
Stop playing with me is what I was feeling, you know. But being like you said, I think very level-headed and very calm about it. Like I'm gonna just show up. That's what it became. It's like, hey, I'm just showing up, you know. And ultimately, praise God, like that worked out, and it really is so major. Like your first yes, like I will always have just next level respect and reverence and awe and appreciation for Barry Jenkins because of that first yes, like you know what I mean? For real, like because then you get that it's confirmation, it's an affirmation, and we need that, like we really really do.
Oh, especially as like artists and creators, like all you hear is rejection. No, 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 no. Like it's a lot to it's a lot to handle. It's a lot to navigate and constantly navigate through that waiting season and that rejection and those feelings of, all right, this is my timing. I do feel like I'm supposed to do this. These moments keep happening for me, but then it's like the timing or whatever just isn't right. But when things do come together, it truly, as you said, it's the most beautiful moment, and it just gives you the ultimate confirmation, like, yeah, this is how it was supposed to happen when you look at it in hindsight, you know.
Exactly.
What was, I guess, the greatest advice that helped connect the dots, or even, you know, I guess back then or even now that maybe have connected the dots for you?
Do you mean, well, how do you mean?
In the sense of your waiting season, knowing that this is gonna come together, and just trusting.
I think there's so much life to be lived, like so much. And this particular career path that I've chosen, I think it invites you to reflect on that and to embrace that and to experience that as best you can, as fully as you can. But I think it's the reflecting on that can sort of get a little sticky. Like we can start thinking back to all the things that led us to this moment, that led us to wanting this, that meet us at this moment wanting this as badly as we do because of this thing that we come from or because of this place that we want to go. And it can get very sticky, just very easy and very difficult to get away from that cycle of thinking and ultimately living most of your life in your head, either with some sort of worry, some sort of fear, some combination of the two. And I decided very early on that I did not want that kind of fear. Like I didn't want to live a life of worry in that way. There were so many things to be worried about. And I just decided, like, not just, but very young. I remember I must have been high school, I want to say, maybe even sooner than that, thinking like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Like, it makes no sense. is really, I think, the first step, you know? And that's a testament to, I don't know, like really having to like really work. Like back to what you were saying about there are a lot of people and a lot of phases in life where you have no choice but to put your head down and stick it in that mud and do that work. Like that's you have no option. That's it. That's where you are. That's all you've got, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like I think that was my foundation. That was like where I started. That's where I existed. That's where I lived for so long, or at least I think for me, like for long enough, you know.
Yeah.
And I think even if this is still where I have to stay, like I was saying earlier about just sort of embracing your circumstances, like that doesn't mean that I like rejoiced in them, you know. But I definitely felt like okay, and
For what it is and just like.
and you hear this like in different I don't know, just different modalities of thinking, like different self-help whatever. It's like about really, if you can't change it, if you can't fix it, like stop it. You know. And I refuse to. And I think also, to be real, now I almost forgot, but in speaking, I'm like, there was also a period of time where I was unwell. I was really unwell, like
Yeah,
physically
that's true. It's like the stress was like.
unwell.
Yeah, it was like.
I'm talking about like wearing a heart monitor, like ending up in the ER and can't nobody tell me why, like waking up and I'm paralyzed for 30 minutes to an hour until somebody can get me muscle relaxers for me to like be able to sit up. Like I was really unwell because of the amount of stress that I was putting on myself. I was so invested, so deeply invested in doing better, in like bettering myself. And I still am, but it became ever so clear that this is not the way to do it, you know? And I felt like I did have a choice, but I didn't want to continue that, you know?
To settle in that and like let that win.
Who would I be? What kind of
Yeah.
life would I have if my body is literally telling me it can't keep up? This amount of worry and what you can keep going, but the body is tapping out. You know what I mean? And that was a lot. That was a lot, and it was additionally frustrating because, and it was like it's like a catch-22, because the more I want to do better, the more I'm stressed about it, and the more I'm stressed about it, the more I'm like, okay, I guess I got to do better. And ultimately, like I had a physical education on the fact that if I cannot control it, I need to release it. I need to. Point blank period. And that is how I've continued to move through life, and it is not easy. You know, there are definitely moments where like there are moments, but I think where I am now is I'm so much more curious about balance and inviting balance into my life across the board. I made a decision a while back that, or at least I should say I was curious some years back about like inviting joy into my life. Like I've been working so hard, like, and it's not that I don't enjoy it, because I enjoy the work,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the greatest reward. But that's also, that makes it so much more easy to like, it's almost like it just makes it so much easier to do harm, because you are enjoying the thing that is kind of causing you pain from doing too much. You know what I mean? So even that, just having to be a little bit more, just inviting some joy and like, and some levity in my perspective, at least, you know, seeing like, okay, like it is possible, like I can do it. I did get that Beale Street job, like I did get this Judas job, and I thought my audition for Judas was terrible. Okay, let's talk about beat yourself up. Like, oh my goodness, it was disgusting, but clearly not, you know? So it's like all of that becomes reason to just accept that where you are is literally where you need to be. And I feel like we hear that all the time. It seems unwise to not accept it at this point. Think of the amount of times that someone has told you, like, everything happens for a reason, or you are where you need to be, or you know, like you won't get anything you can't handle. And I think also I was just like, if I'm willing to learn from somebody else's mistakes, like I'm willing to learn from the example of others, and I started to kind of outsource to free myself from this like grip that
Yeah.
doing better and improving
And what
and
does that look
growing
like,
had.
and even success and all of those different things? It's a lot to carry, and it's funny because I feel like I was going through that in a similar way as
Right.
far as like thinking about generational wealth and
Yes.
like grandchildren and people that aren't even here.
Yes.
It's like all on my back that I'm carrying. And it's
Exactly.
like,
Are y'all comfortable?
right. Just
Yeah.
thinking about all those different things, especially as, a person just figuring out this life that just doesn't look certain. And it's like, all right, what does this look like for you?
Yeah.
Ego can play like a role in that, like how you handle it and how you choose to move forward from it, because some people can't move past it because of their egos. Do you think it was those moments that, and just making that decision to stand in your power of where you want to go, that decided for you that you are supposed to be here in all that you are, even as you continue to climb and to enter different spaces, spaces that may have not felt comfortable all the time? Was it those earlier moments that made you feel like, no matter what, I'm supposed to be here, whether this room has this person or this one, no matter the
Absolutely.
circumstances?
Absolutely. 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 Absolutely.
Yeah.
It absolutely. It absolutely was. Like, absolutely. Like, what did I look like having walked through, literally step by step, walked through all that I just did for the past 17 years, and see that kind of alignment, like see everything kind of just click the way it did. 2015 was a major year for me, and that was the year out of high school and into college, and like so many incredible things happened, so many dots were connected, like just major, that by the time I got to that first yes, or I should say by the time I got that first yes and was now facing a second and then a third, it's like, okay, right. And I think I wouldn't have, that was big, like just in going to Cornell, like, okay, like I'm supposed to be here, cool. And then I think it really was like, because you also have to accept that, like you have to embrace, you have to be willing to believe that like everything could be showing you that you are meant to be where you are. But it kind of falls away, or you fall on your face, or it just becomes 10 times as difficult to do the simplest things if you refuse to accept it in a way. And I'd also been like super curious about Buddhism while I was at college, so, and just in general, like just different ways of thinking, and so I had started reading things like, and I think it's really like in college through the pandemic, I think is a period that I really sort of focused in on that way. Because like I said, there was no clear example, but there were all of these signs, I guess, or uh, I don't know, instances, all of these examples for how things could be, or the fact that it is possible, or that there's another option. So I started reading, all of the sort of classic self-help that people talk about, but the Four Agreements, what is it, 7 Steps to Success or 7 Rules of Success, Oprah Winfrey's What I Know for Sure. Like, I just really wanted, also you say that about ego. That was the first thing I got tatted on my body. Starve the ego, feed the soul. Like, I'm like, I was strapped in. Like, I was so ready to take it.
Yeah.
Like, I want the peace. I want the joy.
It's a fight. Yeah. And I
You know
feel
what I
like
mean?
with you, you've done such a great job of like trusting yourself and trusting your voice and quieting the noise, quieting the ego, and just really like honing in to that inner that gut feel, that gut feeling, um, to I don't know, just navigating all that you do, especially like taking on like such diverse roles. How does that impact you?
I think, and this is like, the new phase that I'm at now is being okay with an extended period of learning. Like, I've always said that I feel like I'm a student in everything, like a student of the world, if you will. Like in college and theater and film sets, like I just think when traveling, like just across the board, I feel like the role of student suits me best. Mm-hmm. And so I think I'm also like I've always been very curious to learn, and that doesn't always mean that I'm front facing in that case. I think I feel most rewarded when I don't know, there's just so much to learn by like sitting down and sitting back and like allowing life, allowing the world to teach you. Like there are so many beautiful teachers in this world. Like you don't actually need to know it all. Someone else does, I promise you. Someone knows that thing that you don't know.
Right. And I think that's when like community comes into play, and also just with life, it's like and I think that's the thing too of people. Some people, they get to a place or in a space where they feel like they don't need to learn anymore, and they don't realize that like we're constantly growing, we're constantly learning.
Yeah, man.
Even the oldest of the oldest, the youngest of the youngest,
Yeah.
there's always something to take. There's
Exactly.
always something to grow from and to evolve into.
Exactly, man. And I think in all of these like different projects, it's like it's really been now getting to learn about how these people who I admire, these people who I know they got it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to someday discover that I might have it too. But until then,
And you do.
what I know for sure is that they got it. And to be able to like, and even if you don't know them, but being on set, being in the space, sharing space, it becomes very clear like the elements I think of success that what you deem as success that you begin to identify in other people. And I think it's like the greatest gift and continues to be the greatest gift to like walk into a space and identify that in the room that I'm in, and just be, it's so much gratitude that, to be able to, I'm here, I'm in the space, I'm in the room, and now we don't know that I worked to be here.
Exactly.
We know that.
Yeah.
So now the only thing left to do is to learn. And I think that's kind of where I am now. And that's like, there was the period where I was fixated on a BFA and fixated on what if and now here's my opportunity to learn, or this could be my opportunity to learn. And so for me right now, it's sort of like I said, going back to this question of balance. And because I really do believe, this is my theory, and we're going to have to do this again in like 15, 20 years,
Yes.
the reunion episode.
Yes.
There'll be many more in between.
Yes.
But we'll do another like reunion episode then to see if it worked. But my theory really is that balance is the key to success. I just feel like, drop it in the comments below. Do you think?
Yes, please do.
Like I think that might be it.
You can't have anything without balance. All right, so diving a little deeper back into that, right? As an actor, how do you navigate the balance between staying true to your character's essence and bringing you into the character?
That is a great question. It really is, man. It really, really is. Especially, I think, like I said earlier, like there's so much about this acting thing that bleeds into or relies on like your life experience, but I think ultimately I try to lean on like the text as like source material, as like the biography, as like the blueprint, to get all of the necessary information, like the foundational information about who this person is. And I think from there it can, whether you're intending to or not, it sort of starts to jump out at you like, oh, like I can relate to this, or I have no idea what that's about, or the things just start to pop up. And whether you believe in judging the character or not, like I think it's for me, it's been helpful to go to the text and sort of excavate that information, um, their family life, their religious orientation, the given circumstances. Just like really do try to get like, what do other people say about this person? Like, what do I say about myself? Like, just try and get as much as I can from the text and allow that to be the thing that really does lead me. Yeah, it takes me on this journey. And whether it's like based on a real person or not, I think that also gets like provides another level of insight. So there's like a whole bunch of education you can do on the time period and how people in this region spoke and operated, what the general views were, just all the things. Try and get as much facts out as we can, and do as much work, as much prep beforehand, so that when we do show up to set, then I think is sort of we switch gears and it's allowed to be a little bit more meeting in between. So it's all the work that we did that should really be in the driver's seat, and I, Dominique, my own life experiences become like the vehicle, you know? I never thought about that analogy before, but I like that. That was a good one. I like that one, yeah.
Oh man. So I know the people, they want to know Ironheart is a part of a larger Marvel universe, right? How does it feel to be a part of such an interconnected and expansive storytelling platform? And how do you approach, I guess, the collaboration and I guess the balance between, all right, this is a comic, but let's, implement these new elements and let's, tell this story in a real way that relates to life currently.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what makes Marvel like truly like on it. Like you see it when you're in the theater and you're getting the final product. But it's been really exciting to see them really outsource and look to those who do have the life experience, who do have that sort of real world information in their being, and give them the reins or portions of the reins, so that when you get to set, or by the time you get to set, you're walking into an environment where there are all of the right people in the right places. So this is like written by a woman whose family is from Chicago, who has an intimate understanding of the physical geography, and also the the spirituality of the place. You know what I mean? Someone who it's directed by someone who's from Chicago. It's directed by two black women. It's relying on those voices to tell the story, so that by the time another black woman, step onto set to tell this story, it's already been so thoroughly cared for in the right ways. And it's really been, I don't know, it's been given the respect and the honoring that I think you hope a story like this is given, again, in those preparatory stages, so that by the time we get to set, you can dare to have fun, then you can attempt to play around with these other incredibly talented castmates that are in front of you, and now you're getting to lean on and to lean into someone else's magic. You know what I mean? And it makes for a really special experience. Filming that was a really special experience. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I know you did your thing. Thank you so much for being here. Oh my gosh. Is there anything that you want to say or let the people know? Any advice you'd like to give?
I love you. This was great. This was really, really fun. It's an honor to sit on the blue couch, to be in the J word. I want to shout you out. Let me big you up. Oh my God. No, this really, really was fun. It really, really was, because I remember this whole journey that we just spoke about. I remember simultaneously you being abroad and being in Manchester and studying there and really like diving into journalism and entertainment, and ultimately like carving out your space, like a space for your voice to be heard. And this man, If the people don't already know, this man had a whole radio show,
Oh
like
man.
on the airwaves and ting. Okay,
Oh
like,
man,
and you
yes.
really were just flourishing and doing it so big. Like when we talk about like having that vision and like really wanting to realize your dreams against
The
it
odds,
all,
yeah.
you were really doing it. And
Oh
so I
man.
think it's so exciting that like, you know, the podcast has been here, but this is just so, it's so additionally exciting to like be in a space, and even the blue, like literally the blue chairs, oh my goodness, like, and just
Nice.
yeah. Right. So you know, I'm very
Oh
proud.
man.
It's very, very exciting. So thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you
Honestly,
so much for doing this. I love you
yes,
so much.
I love
And
you
this
so
is
much,
like
and I'm excited for part two.
no,
When we
same,
get
same.
to, I don't know, get into
Ditto.
the current events.
No,
I don't
yes,
know.
yes, no, ditto. This is definitely, this is not the last. This is only the beginning,
Yes,
and I'm so
amen.
happy that I just feel so blessed and honored, and that you're here. And I just hope that this conversation helps to touch people that are maybe
Likewise.
going through some things, maybe in their waiting season, or maybe
Yes.
just want to act or just need some inspiration to keep going. And I hope that this gives them that to feel like you got this and you have everything that you need and you are where you are to get to where you're going. It's
Yes,
been a
man.
journey.
Yes, it has been.
Oh,
That's really it,
yeah,
though. Like, it
yeah.
really is a journey. And I was reminded of that the other day. Like, there will never be, or maybe there, I believe there shouldn't really be a moment where you're like, okay, that's it. Like you said, like, you just flatline. Then you're dead.
Right.
But, like, I really do. I'm beginning to understand more and more. And I'm working on embracing
Yes.
that, like, this life is about that. Like, it's about the process. It's about the movement. Like, it's not about getting to this level and now I'm at that level.
Right, and that's it. Yeah.
Like, it really, really is.
Yeah.
Like, the beauty, the joy, the everything that I believe,
Yeah.
that we're curious about, it really does happen, like, in the movement, in the
Yeah.
journey. It really,
Yeah,
really does.
and you never know. You truly never know where you
Yeah.
land.
And last thing I'm gonna say, I'm really grateful that, like, our journeys have intersected.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
so glad that
man.
we are on this journey
Oh,
together.
man,
Like, I
for
really
real.
am.
Oh, the Lord God. Jesus. Oh,
Sent
man.
us to each other. for
Yeah.
real.
Again, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Dominique Thorne.
Yes.
And that's about it. And in theaters. Yes. And on the stage.
Yes. All right. Well, before we officially go, I want to play a game called Verse Vibe Roulette. So I know you, so I know that you love Drake, and Drake is known for his accents. So today I am putting your accents to the test. So.
Okay.
So Drake often features diverse accents and styles. So we're going to pick from this cup of the J, and we're gonna pick a song, and we're gonna pick an accent, and we're going to we're gonna navigate through that.
All
So, yeah.
Okay. I'm picking an accent from the cup.
Yes. Well, it has both, so it could be a song or language.
Ooh, find your loving.
Okay.
And now I pick an accent.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Oh my
What
god.
did you get?
That's crazy.
What did you get?
I got Caribbean. Trini Flair. Wow. How timely.
Wait.
Wow. Old Trini Flair. I feel like I gotta sound like one of my old.
Wait, you gotta start with sucking your teeth. Wait. Oh my gosh.
Okay. What? What I'm to them? I'm more than just an option. Refuse to be forgotten. Hey,
I took a chance on my heart. Hey, and I feel it's taking over. I better find your loving. I better find your heart. Why? I better find your love. What you say? To find your heart. Warm to them. Better find your loving. Your heart. I bet if I give all my love, then nothing's gonna tear us apart. Rhythm section.
Tear us apart,
Hey,
just a mission, you hear what you don't listen, and you get what you been missing, hey, 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 I better find your love, better find your loving,
Better find.